Vaping is a modern method of consuming nicotine or other substance by heating a liquid, often called e-liquid or vape juice, to produce vapor that can be inhaled. Vaping devices are commonly known as e-cigarettes or vapes, ranging from simple disposable to more advanced customizable devices. With our experiment, we aim to understand people's belief as to how vaping is considered to be safer than smoking. Simultaneously, we give an informative brief about its chronic effects on our health and observe the changes in the attitudes and beliefs of these people. For the same, we focused on a control and an experimental group of 5 participants each. We gave them a pre-test and a post-test questionnaire, a small brief, and the procedure for the same followed.
We began our experiment by finding participants who do in fact use vapes. If they did vape, we further asked them if they believed.
So, do you think vaping is more harmful or less harmful than smoking?
We proceeded to conduct the Penn State Electronic Cigarette Dependence Index on the participants to measure their dependency levels. We then chose participants who showed low, moderate, or high dependencies. These participants were further briefed with the following.
There is not enough research about vapes in comparison to cigarettes, which have years of research on them, and hence are believed to be safer. Vapes entered the market recently in the year 2016, and since then have been passed on hand to hand or at most pawn shops as well. But do we know that the most common lung disease stems from vapes and is called e-vali, e-cigarette or vaping-associated lung disease? It has similar symptoms to pneumonia such as chills, fever, etc., but has way more adverse effects. These cases appear to predominantly affect people who modify their vaping devices or use black market modified e-liquids. This is especially true for vaping products containing THC. Explain the CDC. We know that vape contains nicotine, but it also contains acetate vitamin E, which is used in skin products. Now, if this enters our lungs, it creates a shiny, sticky layer and narrows the entry and exit pipe of our lungs, which leads to cardiovascular disease as well. Although vapes have managed to eliminate tobacco, thus eliminating cancer, but the cardiovascular disease it leads to are enough to take one's life. In fact, the chemical used in vapes and cigarettes are literally the same except tobacco. Hence, eliminating cancer does not mean vapes fight.
After providing the briefing to the experimental group, their beliefs were reviewed. To check for any shifts in their beliefs, we asked them the questions after the exam, and these post-test inquiries were aimed at determining whether the participants were better knowledgeable about the negative effects of vaping than smoking after being made aware of it, as well as whether the briefing was helpful in altering their beliefs. Although this experiment was successful in influencing the beliefs of the majority of the participants, there were a few exceptions. Even though they were well aware that vaping was just as harmful as smoking, and they displayed a great dislike for smoking, but their attitude towards simply attempting to stop vaping was not changed.
We also had a control group. That is, we randomly divided our participants into experimental and control group. While the experimental group was briefed about how vaping is as harmful as smoking, if not more, the control group was not briefed. The purpose of having this control group was to provide a baseline against which we could compare the outcomes of the experimental group. By comparing the outcomes of the experimental group to those of the control group, we could determine whether any observed changes in the beliefs of the participants were due to the briefing given to them. The remaining procedure, however, was the same as the experimental group. That is, they were first asked to fill the pre-test form, which was then followed by verbally asking them the post-test questions. And as predicted, there were no changes observed in most participants' beliefs. They continued to believe that vaping is a safer option as compared to smoking. Although they were not briefed about the harmful effects of vaping prior to the post-test questions, we did debrief them about our experiment and informed them about the same once the experiment was done. Thus, we could say that by carefully selecting and controlling the participants in the control group, we were able to draw more accurate conclusions about our experiment.
The debate between vaping and smoking is likely to continue for some time. While there are clear differences between the two methods of consumption, there are also many similarities, particularly when it comes to the potential risks to health. It is important for individuals to make informed decisions about whether to vape or smoke, taking into account the potential risks and benefits of each method. To weigh the pros and cons of each method and make informed decisions about how to proceed is the only way a person can take care of their health.
Some participants had their views aligned with the belief smoking is as harmful as cigarettes. 1 out of 5 participants refused to change his attitude towards vaping as he had a strong aversion to smoking, hence leading to his firm belief that vaping is better. There were no participants with high dependency. We suspect this is because of the social desirability of the topic. Participants who vape requested anonymity, hence the blurred faces.